You're listening to Intuitive Style, where we believe that everyone has style. I'm Maureen Welton. In conversation with fantastic guests, we explore how to tap into our style intuition so that we can dress authentically and live fully. Today's guest is Calley Dawson, creator of the circular fashion startup FXRY. She's a fashion industry veteran who turned her focus to reducing fashion waste by scaling tailoring and mending services. Basically, she's super amazing. Calley, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Maureen. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's so nice to get to sit down and talk a little bit more. I know we talked a bit a couple weeks ago, which is always fun. But I had a look at your Fixery website, and I loved your quote about your experience in the fashion industry and how you realized that was contributing to the landfill, and now you're looking to reverse that. Just to kind of personalize that moment even further, can you share what got you on the path of advocating for circularity?
Sure. Yeah, I've worked in the fashion industry for 25 years at all kinds of different big brands around the United States, and it was really exciting when I was younger. I really enjoyed the fun of fashion, and even when fast fashion started, it was really fun to be a part of it because I don't. I don't know if I was young or not aware or whatever it was. I just had no idea that it was so bad for the planet, but it was a really fun space to be in because it was exploding. And for you, Maureen, or anyone listening, like, it's really fun to work at a company and in a space that's doing well. It's not very fun to work somewhere that's not doing so well, or something that, and it just doesn't feel good. And the longer I went on working at these different companies, and as I've gotten older and matured, I've started to realize that the values I have for myself in my own personal life, I want them to align with my work. I don't even know if I knew what my values were when I was in my early 20s. When I really started this journey of doing fashion design, and over the years have just come to realize that doing good by the planet, and really honestly just doing good, is what feels best for me. I want to always be doing what is the better thing of two options, right? Like, nothing's perfect. Everything we create has its flip side, but I just want to be marching towards what feels good. And so for me, when I left the last company I was at and thought about what did I want to do next, no company really excited me in the fashion, in apparel. And I really didn't want to lose the network and the what I had built up for myself, my career. If I had switched into a different category, or a different, if I wanted to go do tech, I'd have to learn something fully new. And I really wanted to utilize my skill sets and the network and everything I'd built up. And so it was just really exciting to realize that I could align my values by doing something that was truly sustainable and not greenwashing, because that's the other thing that was really hard to watch as I sat in these design director positions and had to advocate for my company while also helping maybe people more junior on my team, or just anyone, understand how this isn't greenwashing. And in a lot of cases, accepting that that's what we're doing, because most brands are overproducing, especially big ones, I should say.
Yeah, and that's really interesting what you said about going where feels right, because this idea of intuitive style is, of course, about what we wear and choosing clothes that feel good to wear. And also, there's an aspect of paying attention to what feels good in every aspect of our lives. And I really appreciate what you're sharing about what felt right for you with your career. And
Mhm.
I'd love to hear a little bit more too. Um, I like to make this comparison that intuition isn't negating experience, nor is it negating um, expertise, right? And so I'd love to hear a little bit more from your perspective about how your expertise in fashion kind of led you to figuring out what felt right versus just like a gut feeling, like you were talking about not knowing your values earlier on. How did you develop that sense of your values in what you wanted to do at work?
I mean, to be really honest, I think one of the biggest things for me is I'm sober. And so I live in a community of sober people who one of our tenets in this community is to just do good by what we're doing and to make amends for everything for bad things we've done in the past. And or things that aren't appropriate. And so that has really guided my life. And when I was younger and had been newly sober, I didn't know how to talk about that. I hid it a little bit. And as I've gotten older and more comfortable in my own skin, I'm the first person to shout it from the rooftops that this is a part of my life and really big part of who I am. And that really allowed me to set forth who I am and bring it into my career. I will be one of the first people at a company party to tell people I don't drink, I'm sober, and I'm comfortable with that. And so allowing those parts of my personal life to be in my career and to lead with the values that I've developed from there has been really important to me. And I'd say that it's been an amazing experience also learning how to manage people at work and realizing how different everyone is, and also realizing that the way things work is by collaboration and coming together. But the only way that you can come together to, for example, to do circularity, because you can't do it just by yourself, it requires so many different people. um, it just made me realize that we're all so different, and the only way that you're going to get that full collaboration is you have to fully understand each other and understand why are you different or how are you different. And so you have to be your authentic self so that you can show other people who you are. It allows them to show you who they are, and then you can figure out the path forward. And in this case with sustainability and really figuring out how we can solve this massive overproduction problem. I know that's a lot of things, but
No, that's amazing. And I appreciate everything that you just shared. And, as an aside, I stopped drinking habitually. So I just want to connect with you in that way. Like, I wouldn't call myself sober in that way, but I have made some very dramatic changes to my relationship with, like substances in general. And I also, it's a learning process to figure out how to talk about it with people, if at all. And now that I've been doing this for a little while longer, I'm like, oh, everything about my life is different. I can tell people this because it's important about
right.
who I am. And so I appreciate you sharing that because I think it's really helpful for people to hear and just yeah, not being ashamed of whatever however anyone might react to that. I would love to talk a little bit more about FXRY and what you're trying to do with that. And I watched some of your social media videos, and one thing that really stood out to me is that you had a video showing a mending experience for a pair of stretchy jeans. And that really connected with me as someone who wears stretchy pants, stretchy jeans specifically. There are some very loud voices that are anti stretch denim, and I think that's totally great. If you are a person that can wear non stretch denim, please enjoy that. And for everyone else who does wear them, I just really appreciated seeing that there is a way to still mend that kind of denim and keep them in product or keep them in use rather than just saying, oh, we should never buy that kind of thing because it contains, not uh, so I would just love to hear a little bit more about not necessarily that specifically, but about the fixery approach and how that extends the life perhaps rather than
Yeah.
some of the other alternatives to circular fashion.
Yeah, totally. No, you bring up a really great point that's talked about often in these circularity circles that I find myself in, where there's definitely different camps, and then there's people that sort of reside in both camps. People are really strong one way or the other. Some people are really strong that like you buy quality and you therefore you'll spend the money to maintain the quality. And some people are like, but I can't afford that. So I'm going to buy the cheaper, or people will buy the cheaper. And so, how do we deal with all this? And for me, I've definitely been in some conversations where someone was like, we shouldn't fix the Zara stuff. And I am like, no, we should fix everything. Like, as long as it's, we can fix it. Like, if someone will wear it, we need to fix it. And so the problem, one of the biggest problems with the waste is the plastic and the synthetics and the Zara and the whatever other brands we want to name, are the problem in the landfill. So however we can keep them going longer, I would also at the same time encourage people to maybe think a little bit more about what you're purchasing. From my personal experience, I used to be just a crazy Zara shopper. I used to spend so much money there every month. I'd get this huge haul shipped to my house, and I'd go through it, and then I'd send half of it back, keep it, and I'd wear it not for very long. And then I don't even know what I did with it. I'm sure I donated it to Goodwill. But today I haven't bought a piece of thing from Zara for probably 3 years. And some of the items I have, one of my very favorite shirts is from Zara. And I will wear that thing until it is a rag. And we definitely have people that come in or book online who repair um, these fast fashion items, and they're surpassing what they paid for it. And that works for that person because they love it. And so what I would really encourage people is just buy stuff that you absolutely love. Don't buy stuff just because it's the trend of the moment. If you love the way it looks on you and the way it makes you feel, just all about what your podcast is about, then it makes sense to buy it. And that was, we were actually contemplating, should we post that stretchy denim? I was like, oh, because it's, not this ethos of quality and vintage and whatever. But I was like, we were all like, we have to let's repair all the clothing, which includes the stretchy denim. So let's show people that you can repair your stretch denim, um, and to keep it
Yeah.
if you love it.
Yeah, I mean, truly, I had that thought of like, oh, I feel represented by this, where in some spaces I feel actively excluded from
Mm,
the conversation because of my preferences. And so that really connected with me, and I imagine I am not like I think a lot of other people would feel the same way. And ultimately, these are customers. These are potential customers, which is good for your bottom line. But also, when we think about like what we're actually striving to do when we talk about circular fashion, why, to your point, why would we not want to make the circle bigger and
right.
more welcoming and more accepting? And I think I just appreciate that you're going that way.
Yeah.
That connected with me. So anything else about FXRY that, you feel really excited about, or, I didn't give you a place to even say exactly what it is. So I'd love if you could just talk a little bit more specifically about what the service is.
Yes, yes, yes. I can definitely give my little elevator pitch for Fixery. So Fixery is we're clothing alterations and repairs at your fingertips. So you book online, and as long as you live in Seattle, White Center, or Bellevue, currently this is how the system works. You book online. We come to your house. We pick it up. We take it back to our studio. We fix it or alter it, and we bring it back to you within 2 weeks. And then if that doesn't work for you, if you need a fitting or you need an in-person experience, we do pop-ups all over town. In Seattle, we partner with Filson, Eileen Fisher. We're doing pop-ups at Anthropology, Jenny Kane, and then with a lot of the local boutiques as well, all the local vintage spots. We're probably, I would imagine, in the next year we'll cover every single spot in Seattle. We've really been popping up everywhere. And we just moved into our own commercial space, and trying to figure out how that will come to life, probably just as pop-up events for right now. And then we are also going to be introducing mail in and mail out in the next couple months on our website. Right now, if you wanted to use our services, you could email us and we will set you up with a way to get into our booking portal. So you could use our services from outside of the greater Seattle area. Um, but yeah, we're just trying to keep clothing in rotation and out of landfills, and really just pushing that as our for our marketing. So therefore, we differ from your local dry cleaner or the tailor on the street that you in your town, where by all means they're certainly doing probably great work, but they aren't. They're not creating a platform where they can be an advocate for this change, and so that's
Mm.
really important to me and to this business model. And the other thing that I think is also really interesting and really important is that clothing repair obviously is very crucial to keeping clothes in rotation, but also just to remember that alterations are also really crucial because if your clothing fits you really well, you're going to love it for longer. I can't tell you the number of jeans that I have from all kinds of Levi's to Topshop to whatever that I have gotten rid of because the waist was too gaping. They always gape on me. And now I just have my team at FXRY just nip in the waist for me, and I have jeans that fit perfectly. Um, so, yeah.
That's incredible. And, it's funny when I got married a couple years ago, I told my friend that I bought like a cheap jumpsuit and, that I felt like made or for my reception. And I was like, oh, maybe I should have gotten something nicer. And then I had it altered, and the alterations were quite expensive. And I was telling my friend, oh, I should have gotten something more expensive. And she said, girl, you have a $400 jumpsuit or whatever, 500, because that's how much the alterations cost. And so it went from just a okay garment to an incredible garment just through having it fitted to me. And then when I was done wearing it, I took it to, actually, when I lived in Seattle, I took it to a local, I think it's Brides for a Cause. And I dropped it off and donated it. And the lady looked at me and she goes, we're always looking for jumpsuits. I'm so glad you brought this in.
Yeah.
And, it just like, it had this wonderful, beautiful life and lives on in my photos. So, yeah, the power of alterations are very, very much in my lived experience as well.
Right.
Um, so I know that you're creating a business, you're an entrepreneur, you have fashion experience professionally. So, this podcast is also a personal style podcast. So, just before we talk about how you decide what to buy and wear, I just want to talk a little bit about your eyewear because I have noticed that seems to be part of your signature style based on the cool glasses you're wearing now. And I'd just like to hear a little bit more about your eyewear specifically and just how that came to be, or maybe it's just my perspective, my perception, but it
Yeah.
seems like a part of your style.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a forced part of my style because I don't I have terrible eyesight, which has not always been the case. I'm 45 now, and when I turned, I think 40. If anyone, you Maureen or anyone listening isn't 40 yet, it just your eyesight starts to go, and interesting. I didn't know this. My doctor told me this, especially in women,
Hmm.
your eyesight starts to go at 40. Not for everyone, but it's statistically higher in women at 40. But anyway, so my eyesight started to go, and I was like, okay, well, if I have to wear glasses, they're going to be cool glasses. And so my first pair of glasses were these like really cool, kind of like this style, but like a plastic mauve color that I got from like I think it was like My Teresa or Essence, one of those European, I think My Teresa brands that sells like designers. And I got is a pair of Isabel Marant glasses, and
Cool.
I got them, they were like not refundable, and I was like, god, I hope the doctor can, or the optician, the eye doctor can can switch this out for me. And luckily they could. So those were my first glasses, and they were just readers at first, but now over the years, it's now I can't see up close and far away. I was just telling my husband the other night, I'm like, what if I'm gonna go blind?
Oh,
Just because it's disappearing from both ends. But it's more reading. Like I literally can't see my phone if I don't have my glasses on. And so I actually only have, over the 5 years, I only have three pairs, and they are very. This is not the best prescription. My best prescription are these black ones that I wear, but just interesting. The black is it boxes my eyesight in, and I don't love it, but I love the way they look. Anyway, it's a forced thing I have to wear. I contacts, I don't know that they would work for me because I have the progressive, and I don't know.
Mm.
I don't love the idea of putting something in my eye every day. That seems like a pain. So I've just sort of embraced the glasses. So it's sweet of you to notice.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is fun. Like, we all have sorts of different constraints on what we decide to buy or wear. And, if you have an opportunity to turn a constraint into something really fun and expressive, I just think that's really nice. And
Yeah.
I respect it. Um, so, talking a little bit more about your personal style, can you just share with us how you decide what to buy or wear or what not to buy or wear?
Yeah, so I mean, my style has certainly changed over the years, not only because of like trend shifting trends, but also how, as I mentioned, I used to be just a fast fashion addict. And about, I'd say 5 years ago, I really started to start the shift. And then 3 years ago, just like completely cut all of that off and really stopped shopping. Might also be because I'm an entrepreneur now and money is a little different now that I am making money for myself instead of getting that paycheck every week or every other week. But yeah, I feel like today I really focus on what do I love, what makes me really excited. Like if I see something in a store and I absolutely need it and I want to wear it out of the shop, I know that that's something I need. And that doesn't happen a lot. And I think it's because over the last 3 years, I've collected some items that I absolutely love. And I literally have a uniform that I wear probably more than anything else. And I wear a cropped denim button down with a pair of like slightly baggy jeans, and then some mules, and literally, and then I have this incredible vintage liner, army liner jacket that I got that has just like an amazing story to it of being upcycled and then resold again. And then we picked it up, or I picked it up, and then I had FXRY fix it. And it's just like this incredible story. And I'm excited to like have more clothes that I can add stories to. So really looking for quality items that are durable, sturdy, and recently have been really thinking about and not even realizing, but just staying away from synthetic fibers and just going more organic and natural, which is hard in gym wear. I'm a big gym goer, so to figure that out. But but yeah, that's, and then just staying away from things that are made poorly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's fair. Um, I heard something earlier on in that I wanted to come back to. I swear this happens every episode. um, oh, you were talking about that. I'd love to hear more about that. I have to take it home right now. I want to wear it right now. This is tricky, but can you describe how that feels in your body when you see something or try something on and it's like, I have to have that? What is that experience like?
I mean, it's interesting because I'm sure it's a huge rush of dopamine. I know that it is, but there's something more to it. And I also think that we are probably like, we're all killing ourselves with overdosing in dopamine from all our social media scrolling. But it's more than that because I feel like I get excited because it's going to become a part of me. And like I'll add it to my little uniform that I have, and it's just a full body um, excitement, but that's not like a jolt that like sugar does or drugs maybe did. It's like more of just like a comment like that like belongs to me. Like we belong together. maybe like
Mm,
maybe like realize, I mean it's not as much, but there's just like of realizing like when I met my husband and realizing like he like needed to like be with me. Like I know that that's a really ridiculous thing to compare to like a clothing purchase, but there's like a level of that. I would say that's like the high level, and then this is sort of but it's that same kind of feeling, just a different um, degree of it, I would say.
Yeah, I'm hearing a sense of connection. It's
Yeah.
something that you relate to and connect with.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing that I realized that I used to do a lot, and I'm really trying to be more careful about this, is I tend to like, I'm like, oh my God, I love cropped shirts now, button downs. I'm going to go buy 50 and like different, and I don't need that. Like, I really have been trying to think about, do I want to wear this more than the one I have on right now? Which is another really helpful thing, is especially when I'm wearing this outfit that I love when I'm out in pub, like shopping, the very rare times that I am these days, would I want to wear that instead of what I have on?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I'm sorry. I try not to, you know, say my opinion all the time, but I just put up a post recently-ish about what our favorite items of clothing can tell us about our preferences, and how when you have that kind of rock star uniform best items, it makes it so much easier to evaluate another thing against it, another purchase that you might want to make. Like, if it's not going to be as good as that other thing in the same category, why would I add it? Because I'm going to default to the other one anyway.
Yep.
Of course, if you're talking about a different category of clothing altogether, then, your expectations for how great a denim jacket might be could be different from how great a pair of hiking boots might be, for example. But um, yeah, I follow that same kind of mentality, so I love hearing when other people experience that too. Um, what else about how the experience of being in your clothing influences the way you dress? So I know we talked a little bit about fabric, looking for less synthetics, things like that. Is that related to like the feeling, or more is that related to kind of the um, sustainability aspect? A little bit of both.
Yeah, more just I think being in this the sustainable world now, like I'm just more the amount of access I have to research and people telling us about things that are bad for us, just the microplastics that are being washed out. The thought of that being like against my skin all day. I saw it was probably a TikTok the other day that really made me start to think about that. Like, what do I want against my most exposed organ on my body? And it just really started to, I'd never really thought about it before. And there, I mean, you can go even deeper with like the kinds of dyes and stuff. And right now I'm like, okay, let's just start here. Let's not go too deep, because then I get overwhelmed. And it's frustrating to get overwhelmed. And not really feel like I can do anything, but just these little steps into that. And then I'd say I'd actually, for me, isn't the way it feels, but it could be. I think I might be starting to notice that. Like today, I was going for a shirt to wear. And funny, I put on an all cotton. I had like a synthetic blend that I was going to put on, and instead I put on a cotton shirt. So, and that wasn't, and maybe that was just intuitive, and I wasn't even realizing exactly why, but
I mean,
just
I don't
gearing.
have an opinion on that. Like,
Yeah,
I don't have an opinion on synthetic or not, just for other people, because it's not
yeah.
for me to say. But I was just curious, like, if that was related or more the analytical side.
Yeah, no, it just it's really been the thought of the synthetic versus organic has really started to enter my mind literally in the last 2 weeks. I really didn't think
Yeah.
about it before then. It's just starting to crop in, and my husband, he's a very he's always dressed really like dressed in good quality and like really well made things that tend to not be synthetic. And he's been a really big influence on me over the last couple of years as well. Um,
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting too, because I also haven't thought about the plastics up against my skin. Not once. I know about the microplastics in the water, but I never thought about, oh, it's also on
right?
my organs. So I'm gonna think about that more. But it's interesting on the other hand, right, where sometimes it's good that these synthetics exist for wider audience. For specifically, I'm thinking of people who are allergic to wool. There's a specific person I know who was a guest on this podcast. If you're listening, this is for you. But, I think sometimes, like, how are you going to stay warm in the winter if you're allergic to wool? I guess you could wear leather and
Right.
linen, but like cotton is not safe in in water. For example, cotton kills is something they say on the river if you're a whitewater rafter. So anyway, it's just all so complicated. I never know what's the right or wrong thing, and we all have such different needs.
Totally. No, I completely agree with you. And I think the other thing that's really, when we talk about sustainability, like what do we mean? There really isn't a definition. There's a definition for the word, but not for this like movement, because like plastic is certainly more durable than cotton. Like it's going to last way longer, but that's one of the problems is it lasts too long. So I think it's really interesting when we've done past companies I've been at talking about these biodegradable clothing and stuff. And I'm like, well, we don't want it to fall apart though. And that was one of the hardest things with a lot of these recycled clothing and more organic things when that first started becoming a big thing was they were falling apart faster. But now there's a lot more research and things going on that are and technologies to make it not so. But yeah, who knows like what is the right thing.
Yeah, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I would love to hear more about what your approach to sustainability is. I mean, I to your point, I think we're at a moment in time where I haven't seen convincing evidence that there is one specific way to be a sustainable or ethical shopper because, everything has pros and cons. So as someone who's been in that space, where do you
I mean,
land?
I think it was one of the hardest things that I used to joke about all the time at the companies that I've worked at. Like, if we really wanted to do the most sustainable thing, we would close. Like, and then if you want to get really dark, I'm surprised that Black Mirror episode doesn't exist on this. But like, if humans wanted to truly be sustainable, we would off ourselves, right? But like, that doesn't make any sense because for obvious reasons that I'm not going to say. But so therefore, it's just being smaller in your purchasing and that sort of thing to me I think is and then I of course I'm going to support my business and this is where I've dedicated my life is just repairing what you have and loving what you have and just not just the overconsumption is ridiculous and I think there is a trend now because literally fashion can't get faster and it can't get cheaper. It literally can't. So it has to go the other way because that's what fashion does. It changes. So I think we're on a good trend to have that change. But how that will happen, I mean, there's a thought of like you could make circular clothing where you can, wear it and then return it and then maybe they recycle it. But if you think about recycling, that's also tricky because of the carbon emissions of breaking it down. So again, that for me, I go back to, but if you repair it and you keep it, that is the best way until it literally can't be worn, and then figuring out a way to recycle it. I mean, we have a long way to go, and I mean, I don't even shouldn't even get us started, but our government is not helping get,
Right,
getting
right.
us there with because I think that if we had laws the way that Europe has laws, that would really push brands to be different. Um, so anyway,
I appreciate you saying that because I do feel that, when we are trying to align our values with our with how we shop, I think there can be an overemphasis on the um, the impact that the individual consumer has, and ultimately, I am not responsible for unfettered capitalism. I'm truly not. And not, I think boycotting is a great practice for so many reasons. But as like an individual boycotting a brand, not as part of like a bigger movement or a concerted effort to like tell a brand, what they need to do. Like, I want to see more people petitioning our government for restrictions on how brands can operate. Like, to me, that sounds more effectual than trying to run some sort of boycott or just personally espousing the let's shop less, for the sake of the shame of it. Like, I try to lean more towards one, what are the benefits of having fewer things? And that can just be simply having more alignment with the things that you own and feeling more connected to them, as we were talking about earlier. And yeah, no, that's it. It's just like, what is the value of having fewer things? And then how can we get in touch with how it feels to be aligned with our things
Hmm.
rather than chasing the feeling of dopamine that we get from buying things that we're less aligned with? Which, of course, I don't judge either because I've certainly done that and will do that again,
Right.
but it is, we build up a tolerance against that when we do have a positive experience with things that we already own. um, but yeah, no, I appreciate your point about, you know if the restrictions aren't there,
Right.
what incentive does a brand truly have to act better? I don't know.
Totally.
Well, anyway, enough about that stuff. um, so we talked a little bit about, you know the fast fashion shopping, and how you've changed your shopping habits now, but any other memorable phases or anything, any moments in time that helped you establish, the uniform that you wear today, for example?
um I feel like maybe not establishing the uniform, but just the little moment in time that just popped into my mind was moving from Orange County to Seattle. One of the things that I really noticed was in Orange County, where I lived before, it was all about the car you drove, the bag you carried. It was very label luxury. And I moved to Seattle, and that was not here. But every time I was at PCC going to the trash to put away my recycling, trash, compost, I was so overwhelmed and realized that I was just trading my luxury handbag and fancy car for my Ridwell container and my whatever, this new way of saying, look at how good I am. And it's not to say one is bad or the other, and there's no judgment there, but just to realize that we all have our things, and it's just interesting to see the little micro, or not micro, macro cultures where you live. So that was one thing, and then tying into that was that I moved in to an apartment, and next to me was a really good, now a very good friend of mine, but at the time was just a new neighbor, and she was also 40 and had two dogs and was single, and so was I. And we became really good friends. And then, especially during COVID, we became really good friends because we'd walk to the grocery store together. We really did just a lot together. And I am buying my fast fashion, my Zara, and just like loading boxes and like getting them from the back mailroom and like sneaking past her apartment, hoping she doesn't see me because she's very, um, eco-conscious, and she's like in there washing her paper towels and like, being so conscious she can't sleep at night sometimes because she's thinking of all the ways that she could be better. And I remember being so terrified of her seeing this awful side of me, how I just overconsumed and used paper towels and just threw them away or whatever. And at one point it came up, and I was so scared that she was going to shun me, and she didn't. There was no judgment. It was
Mm,
this just like amazing moment where she met me where I was, and she just would share with me to what she did on a daily basis to be more eco-conscious, and wasn't sharing it at me or because she saw me doing something. I started to see her life and the way that she consumed or didn't consume things. And so it was such a good lesson to me that to remember to meet people where they are, in every kind of situation where you want to like understand people better, or if you're trying to persuade someone, you can't just say to the mainly women on TikTok with their Shein hauls and things like that. You can't say to them like that's bad, don't do that. There's, you have to figure out a way to understand why are they doing that and offer them something um, that's just a shift to being better, and then you could do another shift and another shift, just incremental change.
I just thank you. Like everything that you just said is like my North Star, right? Is um, you know, just we have to meet people where they're at. We have to be curious. And if we actually are outcomes focused and we care about how effective we are in making these shifts, we have to care about the humanness of each person that's making these choices. And if we don't do that, we will be on the moral high ground and we will be ineffectual. And I just think everything that you just said, like from the way that she interacted with you to the vast difference in your behavior from that moment to now, I mean, can you think of a better way to explain how to actually create behavioral shifts in how we're consuming or not than being kind and loving and patient and explaining without judgment.
Mhm.
I can't think of a more effective way to do that. So I that story is going to stick with me for a long time.
Yay.
And I'm glad that that you have like such a good friend that, you can connect with in that way and maybe even more so now that you understand each other and
Mhm.
your values as they relate to each other. So, to that end, what's exciting you in fashion right now, if anything?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think it's really exciting just to watch people that are doing things like I actually just saw a post by a woman. Her name's Mary Corlin Downs. She just started a little, not a little, she just started a very cool publication. I can't think of the right words. I'm escaping me. But anyway, her Instagram is all things fashion tech, and she's just explaining a lot, showing different fashion tech things. And she had this post the other day that I just loved. It was pictures of these beautiful fashion photography of her own, of like a pair of her shoes or a dress she wore, or, and it was like, she labeled it secondhand, and then the next one was like altered or repaired, or and then outfit repeating, and she would have two photos, and there, it's just beautiful the way it's done because it's really like couture high fashion looking photos. But it's just when I feel like people would have been, were sharing these montages of all these clips of our day, or, and I feel like the thing 2 years ago would have been like all my 50 different outfits from the last month or whatever. And here she was showing outfit repeating and really leaning into that sustainability. And I love that. I love the amount of, well, I don't love the amount of secondhand that's out there, but I love how we're getting access to the amount of it. There's just some really cool people and businesses like Benny, which, you can shop for secondhand stuff
Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
Benny, is really great. An index, where you can like categorize your wardrobe. And I mean, there's just so many ways to make it easier, and I think that's just really cool. And the move on from let me go to the mall and look at all the outfits in the windows and pick each one. I mean, that's, I'm really dating myself with that sort of, but I remember going to Forever 21 in
Oh,
my
yeah.
like mid 20s or maybe even my late 20s, and literally just being like, okay, I'm going to buy that mannequin, that mannequin, that mannequin, like buying all the outfits and then having my outfits for like a month and then going back and doing it all over again. And ugh, I just, today I'm just like, what can be like, how I have like, maybe I have like 7 handkerchiefs that I've purchased, maybe not 7, maybe 5, um, because I love them and I've decided that this is part of my uniform. And I just change my little neckerchief, but then I wear, and maybe I have like 4 outfits that I cycle through.
Yeah.
um, but anyway, that's what's exciting me.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I know I also am loving the move towards outfit repeating. I mean, for so many reasons, just for the experience of outfit repeating. I think the experience of always having to have a new outfit is so stressful. Like, can we relieve that stress for ourselves and just be like, "Oh, actually, I'm totally normal if I have fewer outfits." And you don't have to do this mental math of, well, last time I saw that person, this is what I wore, and I can't wear it again. I have to wear something different. Like giving that experience of outfit repeating once we get used to it is actually really nice. And I love that, and I love seeing great examples. Oh, and I didn't. If you said it, I missed it. Would you share the name of the person that you were talking about who has like all those cool editorial images?
Oh, it's Mary Corlin Downs is her
Okay.
name, and her Instagram is all things fashion tech.
Okay.
It
Sorry,
was
if
just
you
her.
said it, I just missed it.
Yeah, no, no, no worries. It's just her. Most of her posting is about different fashion tech companies and stuff, but she definitely mixes in some stuff
Cool.
like that. Was just a really cute post. I think she just posted it yesterday, and I just really liked it.
Well, I'll make sure to include it in the show notes. So, our final question is, what advice would you give to someone who's trying to build a wardrobe that feels intuitive and authentic to them?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely said it like a whole bunch of times, but just really focusing on what clothing excites you and what do you feel, like you said, like a connection with it. Don't just buy it just because whatever the barrel jeans are the latest trend, or they're not even the latest trend anymore. But I feel like that's one of the trendiest things I can think of right now. If that resonates with you and you really feel a true connection to it, go for it. But if you're doing it because it's of the moment, then maybe that's not the best thing for you. And then for me, I also really think about adding pieces slowly instead of, I used to go and do this like a bigger haul of buying multiple things at once. I just really stay away from that. Maybe two items at a time, but I really just try to focus on one, and then having that, how do I update my outfit with that one thing? And then really always, like I mentioned before, that do I want to wear this more than what I have on? um, and just like not doing duplicates of the same thing. You can make such a more interesting um, wardrobe if you don't have the repeats of 50 black shirts or 50 button downs. So
Yeah, and the idea of only buying one outfit, or sorry, one garment at a time and working that in, how do you find that that helps you or works better?
well, I feel like for me, I think I'm pretty obsessed with dressing like the same color or the same tones from head to toe. And I've been obsessed with that for probably like 5 or 6 years. And so it's really helped me because I really only wear like denim or like this rosy, dusty color or like a brown kind of color. I have like actually these three colors I wear all the time. Um, and it really helps me because when I go out shopping, if I see something that's like outlandish that doesn't fit, unless I absolutely love it, and then I'll wear it with like an all white outfit or something. But it helps me to like take one item home, see how it works into my wardrobe, because I certainly make mistakes. Like, I'm not perfect. I definitely have bought some things that I thought I had a connection to, and I got home and realized it wasn't. But if I had bought five things at a time or
Mm,
three, there's less chance for me to really realize the connection or not. And see how it works into my current wardrobe. Um, so
incredible. Thanks for going into more detail, because when we
yeah.
get into that detail, that's what we can work with, like that detail, that example of it's so hard to have that connection with five things all at once. I mean, yeah, when you put it that way, like how can you split them all apart from each other versus if you have one at a time, it's so much easier to just focus on that one thing and how that feels. So great example, and I had not thought of it that way before, but I'm going to think about that now moving forward. So, well, as I had expected, this was an absolute delight, and I appreciate everything that you shared and brought to the table with this because, I know it's not easy to always bring our authentic selves and be super
Mm.
honest about, how we've lived in the past and how we've grown. So I just appreciate you going there with me. And so thank you again. And where can listeners find you?
Yeah, I mean, you can find the Fixery on Instagram. It's at the.fxry is our Instagram. And then our website is thefxry.com. So you can definitely find us there. We're on TikTok, but not in a very bold way. And we're also on LinkedIn, also not in such a bold way. But I definitely would say Instagram is a really fun place to follow. We make really fun and engaging content just to show people what we're capable of, but also just to spread the word of like you can fix stretchy jeans and other things that people may not realize that they can repair. We've done a bunch of children's stuff, and so it's really fun to show, fixing a little girl's favorite pink sweater. Anyway, lots of fun stuff on there and a place to get ideas and learn more ways to take care of your clothing as well.
Incredible. I will link all of that in the show notes so that people can have it. And thanks again. This was a delight.
Yes, thank you so much, Maureen. It was really enjoyable.
Intuitive Style is produced, edited, and hosted by me, Maureen Welton. In case you missed it, Intuitive Style, the podcast, is an offshoot of Intuitive Style, the Substack newsletter. Head on over to Substack, search Intuitive Style to see the newsletter, which includes thoughtful reflections on what's happening in the fashion world, guest features, and my encouragement that you can create a wardrobe that fits your life as it is now. No judgment, no rush. Our theme music is by Noir et Blanc V. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate and review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, or share this episode with someone who you think might enjoy it. Don't forget to subscribe, as new episodes drop weekly on Fridays, and you can listen wherever podcasts are found. See you next week!